Welcome to Mad About Podcast. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, ADHD business and money coach. And this podcast is all about business, money and life as a neurodivergent. I am so excited today, because this is now our first ever in-person live podcast show, but also because I'm joined by one of my favourite people in the online space, Naomi Holbrook. So Naomi is the Unconventional Weight Loss Coach. That is not a way that I would describe her. I would describe her as, I'm not going to look at her while I'm saying this because she might cry, a visionary, a inspiring person, somebody who has not only changed the way that I look at food, she's changed my life. She has changed my mindset, the way that I look at things. And she has, just by joining her program, which is called Freedom from Diets, which I really thought was just going to be about weight loss. And it's just been so much more than that. Naomi Holbrook, I'd love to introduce you to my dear friend. Thank you so much for coming on today with me.
Oh, thank you for having me. And it feels really, really special because I know this is your first one in the studio.
It is. And I couldn't think of anybody that I wanted to have more than you, because the last 6 months have just been insane. I've learned loads about myself. I've learned loads about my ADHD, actually, because ADHD and food, I mean, there have been some issues. I think we're probably going to talk about both of our stories today because I have a lot of negative food history.
Yeah.
But I have cleared that. I've changed some of the things that I never thought I would change. And for me, that has been something I never thought I would do. The food noise just doesn't exist anymore. So I'm going to talk to you about loads of things today. But at the beginning, I just would like you to introduce yourself because, you know, I gushed. There might have been some things that I might have missed out. So feel free to introduce yourself.
I will. So first of all, thank you for the gush and the introduction. Yes, I'm Naomi Holbrook. I'm the Unconventional Weight Loss Coach, and I help women to heal their relationship with food, their bodies, and themselves. But I love how you introduced there, because something that I hear time and time again when women come to work with me is like, it's all about the weight. Naomi, I'm struggling with my weight. I've lost my confidence, or I've lost my way. And the biggest thing that I see them achieving is these other elements that transform their life. So whether that is the confidence to then show up in their business in a different way, or to show up in their relationships in a different way, or to go for the promotion that they never felt that they were worthy of.
Yeah.
It's that ripple effect. So I always kind of say that the weight really is like the byproduct.
It is. And do you know what? When you're happy, and like, I know that as well as being an emotional spender, I'm also an emotional eater.
Yeah.
So if I'm not so emotional and I'm not so down in the dumps and depressed and all sorts, and you know, as somebody who's got PMDD, that happens to me every 2.5 weeks. But even those symptoms have started to actually get better. You know, I'm taking more supplements, I'm drinking more water, I'm like actually thinking, you know, even today, it's like when I parked up at the place for the podcast, I was like, I'm going to park in the car park that's slightly further away, so I have to walk. And that, for me, is a conscious decision. And I talk a lot about conscious spending and how anything money related, if you do it consciously and with thought and effort, and it's planned and it's motivated, is absolutely fine. And I expect that you will say the same about food.
Yeah.
And it's lovely, actually. You know, we have so many things, and also money and food definitely go hand in hand as well, because you know, I used to be the person who would go to the supermarket and, you know, I'd buy all the things. Like, I don't ever go to the supermarket anymore. I send my husband, because it means that there are no impulse buys. I don't come back with a sofa when I go to Lidl's middle aisle anymore, which is great. My husband's like, what the fuck did you buy that for? And I'm like, well,
we might need it.
It was on sale and it looked really cool, but we don't need it. So my impulsivity, especially like, you know, with clothes, like, but also since I've started to kind of lose a bit more weight, I've been even more impulsive because I'm like, that would look really good on me. But actually in my mind, I'm going, don't buy any new clothes, Maddie, because in 6 months, they're not going to fit you. Yeah. And that's been really good. But there was a point and an end to that story. Can't remember where I was going with it. But the impulsivity, the noise, like I used to be the person who went to Sainsbury's, bought all the food, came back, had no plan for when I was going to eat it. I had no plan for what went with what. I just bought the things I thought I should buy. And we all know that should needs to go in the fuck it bucket. So I would end up at the end of the week with a load of gone off food that I hadn't eaten. So I was wasting money. Yet again, ADHD tax. It was that lack of planning, lack of forward thinking. Now I sit down on a Sunday night with my husband. We talk about the foods that I'm going to eat, that we're going to eat together. We plan for nights that he's not going to be around. And he knows that I can't cook. He says it's safer that way. It's a health and safety hazard. He is not wrong because I am really not a cook. I am an open, close, play kind of girl. And, you know, that's a microwave in case anyone didn't get that. But I am very much like somebody who can't plan. So M&S protein meals, love them. They're really good. I've discovered cauliflower rice recently and I absolutely love it. It's nicer than actual rice.
And I love what you've just said there about the money side of things, because it's something I hear repeatedly inside the program, is how women realize that they're starting to save money when working with me, because they've cut down on their takeaways, or they've reduced all the, you know, kind of expensive snacks that they were buying, or like you say, even the food waste.
Yes.
You know, I noticed that hugely. Like you, I used to go and do my food shopping, buy all the stuff. And I always used to buy all the, you know, in inverted commas, healthy foods with the intention of making better choices.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually want them.
No.
So they just get thrown in the bin every week, you know, fruit and vegetables all thrown away, and just eat all the processed foods. So I love that you've said that too, because actually it's eating better and looking after your health is actually a money saving
It really
tip.
is. And do you know what? Like one of the things that I've noticed since starting the program is that healthy food can give you dopamine.
Yeah.
Like that was always a common misconception. Like I always thought, you know, healthy food, dieting, boring. I don't want to do it. It's restrictive. And I think the best thing about working with you is that nothing's off limits. If I want to have a fucking donut, I'll eat a fucking donut, right? And I did last week and it was great. But it's now very few and far between because my cravings for those type of things have gone. Like I haven't had a chocolate bar, apart from on one occasion, it made me feel a bit sick, in the last like 3-4 months. Yeah. And it has been like, I used to have a chocolate bar a day. I mean, that is porky, right? A little bit. And I think, my blood sugar levels were all over the place. I was constantly stressed. No wonder. I was not only drinking like fizzy drinks, but I was drinking all like the shitty ones that have got all the aspartame and whatever it's called in it. And I wasn't doing anything, you know, I've made the tiniest swaps. They're not massive. I eat more protein. I eat more vegetables. I've cut out the sugar. I drink flavoured fizzy water from Sainsbury's now, which I really enjoy. I drink more actual water. I've now found an electrolyte that I actually like as of this morning. Should have asked Naomi first. And it is the one she recommends, but I just, you know, PDA. Someone tells me to do something, I'm like, I don't want to. But it has been a really interesting experience because all I've ever done is Slimming World. And no offence to Slimming World, I'm sure it's really great for some people. But the culture there, I mean, like, eat 75 bowls of pasta every week and lose weight. I don't think that's really a thing. Yeah. You know, all these sins and, you know, making food bad, that's not cool, in my opinion. And I also think that from an ADHDer's perspective, it's hard to get out of once you're in because you feel that obligation to go to the meetings. You feel like it's working, but the only reason why it's working is because actually you're being conscious about your food. It's not about what you're eating, it's about the consciousness. And when you do leave, you berate yourself because you failed at something, which is actually not the case at all. It's just a cult. Okay. Anyway, Slimming World, we like you. Just please don't sue me. But it feels like that way of losing weight is going to be for some people, but not for others. I much prefer the way that you do it because, and also it's about the mindset. That's not covered in these weight loss programs. It's really not something that they really talk about. They talk about mind over matter, but it's not about how to reprogram your brain, which is what you talk about. And that's what I love.
And the biggest thing, you know, I was a serial dieter for nearly 30 years and disordered eating for nearly 30 years, having started with, you know, Slim Fast at the age of 14, then as a sort of mid-20-year-old, Weight Watchers, then throughout my 30s, literally everything, you know, Weight Watchers, Slimming World, you know, online programs, everything. And, you know, what you sort of said there about like sins and free food and points and all these different things. First of all, I think it's actually really negligent to not educate people.
Absolutely.
And there is no education there at all if you're eating, you know, carbohydrates and they're being called free food. And sins and points, I think is, I don't know, kind of almost you're treating people like children and not giving them the autonomy. And one thing that's really, really important and key for me is educating, because we're not educated on nutrition and well-being and anything like that at school. You might be taught how to, like, you know, make a quiche at school and different things like that, but you're not taught how to, maybe you weren't, I was. Quiche and pita bread, they were like my, and kedgeree. I made a good kedgeree back in the day.
Yeah, you see, I've got childhood trauma from kedgeree, just because I think, like, my aunt used to make it, and I'm not sure really even what's supposed to be in kedgeree, but
smoked haddock, rice,
eggs,
boiled eggs
and curry,
and peas.
Yeah. So I've got a phobia of peas. So that was just, and it is a really bad phobia, to the point where, like, I ordered a Foo Young the other day because I'm trying really hard to not, like, if I'm having a takeaway, I'm being really, really mindful of what I'm having. So I ordered chicken and cashew nuts and some Foo Young, mushroom Foo Young. It was very nice. So I'm thinking, like, protein here. It arrived and it had 1,000,000 skrillion peas in it. And I think I spent more time picking the peas out than I actually did eating it. And my husband is like, what are you doing? And there's like a mountain of peas on the chopping board. But this kedgeree that, like, I mean, it was just, as a child, all of the things I didn't like, really strong flavours. And from the age of 5, she used to try and make me eat it. I think now, bar the peas, I'd be like, actually, that sounds like quite a nice dish. But as a child, no.
Yeah. And trauma. And growing up, like, my poor late mum, if she could see me now, like, she literally used to have to disguise food because I was I was so fussy growing up. I wouldn't eat vegetables. Like, literally what I thought was a vegetable was like chips and peas.
Yes.
She'd put fruit in my lunchbox. I'd take it to school. It would come back. It would go again. It would come back. It would go again. It would come back. And I was such a fussy eater. And like you said earlier, I actually eat all these foods now because I want them, not because I have to, or because I should, or because I need to stay healthy, but actually I crave them and want them and enjoy them.
I mean, like, my fruit intake, and I've been quite careful because, annoyingly, like, and you said this on one of your sessions, that mango isn't the best. Like, mango is totally my favourite, but I've been having it once a week with some natural yogurt over the top of it. One of the most delicious desserts I've ever had. And it's like, I now, if somebody says to me, like, what do you want for dessert? I'm like, mango and yogurt. Like, that's normal. Like, whereas before it'd be like a sticky toffee pudding or a bag of custard donuts. I was that person.
Me too.
Like, I love custard donuts to the point where, like, don't fucking buy one for me. Don't buy a bag of the Sainsbury's ones, especially not if they're really fresh, because I will sit there and casually put 5 of them into my mouth and not actually care.
Yeah, and you said about, like, a chocolate bar a day.
I know.
At my peak, I was eating multiple chocolate bars a day. Yeah. Like, I remember, when they used to do the 3 for £1 with Cadbury's and things. Yeah, I would absolutely buy that, and that would be no issue for me to eat that chocolate throughout one day.
No. I really struggled with it, and it was, do you know what? Like, my main reason for wanting to focus on my weight loss wasn't actually for weight loss. Like, I don't care that I'm overweight. I'm really not bothered. But it's more about the fact that I've got lots of hidden disabilities. My mobility is so bad at the moment that I kind of waddle like I've got a stick up my arse. It is literally a waddle. Like, my hips are literally eroding. I do not like, I do not need the pressure of extra weight on my hips at the moment. So I needed to lose it.
Yeah.
And I was actually like at Big Festoon, walking around, seeing all of the people who have been on Manjaro. And I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the weight loss injection and it's going to be great. And then I went and did some research into it. And one of the biggest symptoms that you can get, and I'm saying can, there is no like, you know, you're definitely going to get this, but it's nausea and sickness. I have the worst emetophobia that like, I don't know if there's levels of emetophobia, to be honest, but even if somebody talks about the S word, I just can't. And the idea of being nauseous, like it takes me back to the trauma of when I had hyperemesis when I was pregnant. And my husband was like, hey, you know, like if you do an injection, and it's only a week, even a week of feeling, even an hour of feeling sick is literally my worst nightmare. Being sick, horrendous. Can't do it. Sorry, I just said the word. Now I know. But it's that triggering for me. And that was the reason that I came to you, is because I don't want to put myself through that. And I also, like, I've been working with you now for what, like 4 months, 5 months?
Just under 3.
3. It seems like longer. Love it.
Hopefully in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. But in 3 months to lose over a stone, that, like, here's me thinking, oh, that's not fast enough. It's not sustainable. Like, it's slow, and slow is sustainable, right?
Yes.
And actually that was the reason I want to lose the weight and I want to keep it off. I don't want to stop doing an injection and it all pile back on again. Like, kudos to anyone who does it, because I don't think it's an easy ride.
No,
I think
absolutely.
It's the last resort that people do.
And I think it's important that you've brought that up, because you know, I remember when you obviously were thinking. Well, I don't even think you were thinking about the program. I remember seeing you go on Instagram and talk about you know, the possibility of going on the injections. And I remember just sending you a message and just saying, look, do you want to just have a chat about this? Because I come at this from 2 very different perspectives. And I know a lot of weight loss coaches, a lot of health and fitness coaches are coming at it purely from don't do the weight loss injections because, you know, X, Y, and Z. But I'm coming at it from 2 different angles. One is from the knowledge that I have as somebody who battled weight, body image, and relationship with food for over 30 years. You know, I started struggling, I think, really from about the age of 9. But also, I have clients that come to work with me who are on the injections, but know that they're not a long-term solution.
Yes.
I've also had a lot of women come to me who have been on the injections, come off the injections, and regained all the weight. So I have seen a real you know, a perspective here that gives a really good overview. And honestly, 11 years ago, if these injections had been available, I would have been on them like a shot.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't believe there was any other way of achieving a healthy weight, reversing all the medical conditions that I had, stopping that food noise that you talk about. It was like radio programs, multiple radio programs running through my head for like 30 years. I didn't even know the terminology food noise existed. So I think that the injections have a time and a place, absolutely. And obviously when it comes to obesity and type 2 diabetes, I think that there is a real need and a real cause for them. However, I think that what we're seeing is a huge overuse, and also, if not doing the work alongside to reprogram the neural pathways, to change and break these behaviors around eating habits and changing that identity as well. The identity piece is huge. Then it's no wonder that regain of weight happens.
Yeah, and I totally get it. I think for me, one of the things that I've really struggled with is actually I don't eat enough. Yeah. Like especially because I'm on ADHD medication, which really does suppress your appetite anyway. Like I can go to like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon and be like, oh shit, I haven't eaten today. Yeah. And then all of a sudden my meds have worn off and I'm like fucking hangry. And I'm like, I need to go. And I open the cupboard and I'm like, what can I eat in the next 5 minutes before I go and pick the kids up from school? A bag of crisps, a biscuit, whatever. But now I've started to pre-make my salads so that when I get that hunger, I've got something that is protein packed. It's got fiber in it. It's like, it tastes nice. You know, I scrimp a little bit more on the mayo than I would have done in previous Maddie years. But even that, like, and I don't snack. I have never been a snacker. Like, I'm a pudding person. So like, I will eat twice a day. And I know I should have breakfast, but I still can't force myself to be hungry in the mornings. I've started to have a smoothie, like a kind of banana, strawberry, oat milk, or almond milk normally, because I like almond milk more than oat milk. But that's kind of my breakfast. I can drink something, I can't eat something. Put some oats in it just to bulk it out a little bit. It does stop me from feeling that hunger. Then I'll take my ADHD medication. But it's that preparing something, and like, my husband helps me as well, because I don't do a lot of things for myself, not because I'm lazy, but because I'm chronically ill, and actually I don't get up. It takes me an hour and a half normally to wake up in the mornings, to get up, because that's hard, because I've got all this pressure on my hips. And he'll help me by making me a salad, so he knows that I've got something for when that hits. And that's made a world of difference to me. It's crazy. We've sidetracked a tiny bit, and like, I haven't even asked you the question that I'm supposed to ask people who come on this podcast. So, and I know that this is going to continue into like your weight loss journey. I'm hoping it does, because I think it's really interesting. Naomi, what is your money story?
Ooh, big question.
It is a big question. It is.
Well, I think that my money and my food story definitely interlace. And it's something that I find so much with, the women that come to work with me, is that we kind of work on the relationship with food, and actually then there's big light bulb moments of other things in life that it sort of revolves around. And I grew up in a very loving family. My dad was a wartime baby.
Oh, wow. Who
had, lost his father actually when he was only 18 months old. So grew up with a mum post-war, where everything was tight. Money, rations. My nana used to literally open up every room in her home and rent it to sort of post-war time. So I grew up with money not growing on trees. Finish the plate of food because there's children that are starving in Africa. Going out for a meal, eat all of that because we've paid for it, don't waste it.
Yeah.
So I think everything for me became, there was something attached to it. And I was a really, really sensitive child growing up, super, super sensitive. And people find it really baffling to kind of see that now because of the change. But so when all those things were said to me, they were like imprinted in me that money doesn't grow on trees and all these different things. And I think if anything, I probably went the opposite with food, with money, like you were saying there, about overspending, definitely over buying food, over consuming, but also overeating it.
Yeah.
And I've just turned 50 in March, and I feel like it's only now that I am finally being so much more intentional with everything. I look back and I honestly think I walked through most of my life until I got to 39, which is when I made a conscious decision on my health. And it was weight involved, but actually so much of what you said there, I had chronic health conditions. I had chronic pain. I was on, I'd been on and off depression medication, anti-anxiety medication from the age of around 12. So it was much more sort of ingrained. So yeah, I think for me, my money and my food kind of story has definitely been interlaced. But it's not until you start to change your relationship with food and your body and yourself that you start to kind of almost like uncover all these other things.
I totally feel that, because I think mine's very similar. Like, I remember talking to you about your story and then being like, I have written a book, and actually I haven't copied your story, but it's very similar. And it's like, I had, I disordered eating. I had a binge eating thing when I was younger because I got told I was allergic to artificial colourings and I was not allowed to have a single like sweet or like anything that was naughty. And I love the fact that there's no naughty food with you, and that's one of my favourite things. But I couldn't have the things that I wanted. So of course, when I got my own money and I had that autonomy, I mean, that money was supposed to be for my lunch at school.
Yeah.
And that started my eating disorder because I wouldn't eat at school and I'd save it up so I could go and buy chocolate and sweets at school because they gave me that dopamine. So I started my unhealthy eating probably around the age of maybe 13, 14. At school, you could buy cans of pop. I was never allowed any of that stuff. So for me, it was just like an eye-opener of like, oh my God, I've got this world of, it was like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah. It was like, every time I went to the shop after school, I could see these like rivers of chocolate and all of these like amazing like lollipops and stuff. And that just opened a door. But I felt really shameful because I still wasn't allowed it. So I would take them home before my parents got home from work. I would eat them, shove the wrappers back in my school bag. And then when I went to the bus stop in the morning, I'd put them in the bus stop. Not in the bus stop, in the bin in the bus stop. You know, I wasn't horrible. And that went on for 4 years maybe, and I had the metabolism of a 13, 14-year-old, and I was still doing PE at this point and cross-country running, even though I fucking hated it. And I was playing netball every week, so I managed to keep off the weight. God knows how, the amount of, and honestly, like, I swear to God, I probably would have given myself diabetes if I went any further. And it was just that start. But it was also the fact that money bought me nice things. Yeah. And I'd always had that money doesn't grow on trees, and, you know, we have to work really hard for our money and all of these things. And, you know, by the way, children learn from the age of 7 what their money beliefs are, hence why I wrote my money book. #shameless plug. It's called That's My Money. You can buy it on Amazon. It's all about helping children to look after their money. But, you know, this is the reason why I did that, because, like, I didn't learn. My parents taught me about money, but not in a way that worked for my brain. And yes. I think they didn't know that I was neurodivergent, and that didn't help. But where I went with that afterwards was, you know, I went to university and, you know, I mean, even college, I had my own money, but I bought things that gave me dopamine, which was bad food, makeup, clothes, and I couldn't stop. And that's where my money story started. And, you know, I've talked about snippets of it in the past, by the way. Again, shameless plug, Mad About Money, is out now. It is a book that is not boring. It is very much like how I talk. So it's funny, I guess. I'm not calling myself funny. James, my husband, always says I'm not funny. I think he's lying. But, you know, it's not a boring money book. I am working on the audiobook version. It's not going to be out for a few months. But we digress a little bit, but that food noise and that history and where money and ADHD and food all kind of collide in one, poof.
And you use that word shame, and I think that is something that I see all the time, and I think was probably the most prolific for me, was that I hadn't realised just how much shame I had carried for all of my life around different areas, but definitely around my relationship with food. You know, I went to an all-girls school, highly competitive, academic, really sports-based, musical. I didn't fit into any of those boxes at all. So, you know, PE for me was not only physically uncomfortable because of having scoliosis and degenerative disc disease, but also emotionally uncomfortable for me. Like just having to put on those green polyester shorts or having to get undressed and go in the swimming pool.
Oh God.
Was just horrific. And that shame built over decades, 3 decades really. And it's why I talk about losing the literal and the metaphorical weight, because it's not just the
baggage.
It's not just the fact that we sometimes need to lose. It's actually all the other layers, the expectations that have been put on us, the belief system that was given to us that, you know, we didn't necessarily ask for, trauma, whatever that, you know, whatever kind of, however that comes about. But it's all those other layers that we just need to let go of to feel free and to feel lighter.
Absolutely. And, you know, as somebody who has got ADHD, What would your tips be for, if they're going to do it? I mean, obviously my tip is like join Naomi's program because it's fucking brilliant. But not everybody will have the money to do that. And I think, especially for people on a budget, what would be your tips if you struggle with food noise and you struggle with like actually the dopamine side of it and the emotional eating side of it? Because I think that's something that people who have got ADHD really do struggle with. I know it's been my biggest problem. So what?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I've never been diagnosed, but the amount of people, professionals, who have said to me, Naomi, but you know what? I've shed all the labels that I ever carried around. So there's a part of me that actually doesn't want
care.
and doesn't feel the need for a diagnosis. But I do work, a lot of women that come to me absolutely do have ADHD. So I think, like you said already, you can get dopamine from other areas.
Yes.
But because you are so reliant, and don't forget, the multi-trillion pound food industry is actually designed to keep giving you this dopamine from convenience foods, ultra processed foods. It's a machine. It's designed to do that.
Like,
so
boop, 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 boop.
yeah,
fuck off, just eat.
So first things first is that you're not a failure, because I absolutely thought that I was a failure and that it was my fault and my problem and all these different things. Once you actually realize that there is an industry that is spending billions to get you addicted to their food, then I think even just having that recognition and that awareness can help you to start to make different choices. Yeah. The other thing I'd say, and this is why diets don't work, is because, and meal plans don't work, because it's trying to fit yourself into another box.
Yes.
Like, oh, I must eat that at breakfast. And even when you just said there, I don't really eat breakfast. And you know what? I don't care whether you eat breakfast or not. And I always say this with my clients when they're like, do you know what, Naomi, I just can't face food first thing. No problem. Let's just look at how we can adapt that into your day. So what I'd probably say is my top tips would be start really small. And you've already said this, that like even into the program, you've lost a stone, but actually there haven't been all these huge, I think people think, a lot of people put off dealing with their health because they think they're going to have to sacrifice, give up, and remove all these things that they love. Yeah. But actually you can get that dopamine from a walk, from, drinking
playing with
well.
the kids, doing whatever.
Yeah, anything at all.
Yeah. I mean, full disclosure, I did stop drinking 2.5 years ago. And it has been an absolute game changer for me. When I say I've stopped drinking, like as a rule, I do not drink alcohol. This is coming from somebody who was borderline high functioning alcoholic. Like, I didn't wake up in the morning and go for a drink, but every weekend I would get utterly shit faced. I had no off switch. I would probably drink like between 7 and 10 drinks, shots, the works. I'd spend all day on a Sunday feeling like absolute shite, shoving anything brown into my mouth. That sounds really gross, but beige food. I'm just going to clarify that. And it was a non-fun way to live. My mental health was on the floor. I have never, ever felt... I mean, obviously, the PMDD still makes me have waves of that manic depression, but I'm not constantly depressed. I'm not constantly fearing for stuff. I'm not constantly making the wrong decisions. Changing my relationship with alcohol was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. And I've applied your processes and procedures with also the stuff that I learned from my alcohol journey. So now if I want to have a drink, I have a drink. Yeah. I'm not like teetotal or sober. I fucking hate the word sober because it wasn't like I walked around drunk all the time, but I just don't drink. And if I want to go to an event and I want to have a drink, I'll have a drink. 9 times out of 10, I don't want to. I went to Isle of Wight Festival the other day. I had like 2 vodka and cokes for the whole of the weekend. For me, that was like awesome. Had a really great time, wonderful things with my friends, and the money that I saved on my Isle of Wight non-drinking, I bought this ring. And I do that every year. Well, I bought another one last year, my sober ring, before I realised I hated the word sober. and it snapped. So I bought this one and it was £15. I mean, I probably saved way more than £15. But the money that I save every year now on not buying booze, I used to take myself away on my book writing holiday. Second
Love
year in a
that.
row I've done it, love it. But the process behind the food noise is also the same as what I did with the alcohol. It's about changing habits, right?
Yeah.
And if you and I've always been, I did the same when I stopped smoking. Like, I told myself that I no longer smoked, and if I wanted to smoke, I could. But actually, and I used to, when I first gave up smoking, I used to have like the occasional one on a night out. Very much go hand in hand with booze. So it was a lot easier when I stopped drinking. And then it was like, actually, I don't need to do this anymore. And it's the same with drinking now. I'm like, I don't need to do it. If I enjoy doing it, I can do it. And that's the same with food.
Yeah.
So,
And very much the same with my journey. You know, 39 was my turning point, literally 3 days after my 39th birthday, seeing photos of myself and just looking and thinking, oh my God, like, who is that? Like, and not even just the weight. My skin was grey, my eyes were dull. And, you know, I look back now and there's the terminology, grey area drinking. And that is definitely where I was at. You know, I had a highly stressful corporate career, and part of that corporate career was entertaining, was being away, was, you know, being in different locations where maybe I'd stay in hotels with team members, and we'd, you know, let's meet in the bar, a couple of bottles of Prosecco, all that. And like you know, I had no off switch with alcohol.
Yeah.
But then, of course, what that did was that triggered the food choices. So after a Saturday night out, it would be, you know, order a late night takeaway or get in and just eat, like, you know, 4 pieces of toast, wake up absolutely just feeling crap. So therefore, like, from, you know, I always joke now how active I am now, but literally my weekends used to be from the kitchen to the sofa, back to the fridge, back to the sofa, maybe downstairs to pick up a takeaway order. And mental health was, you know, my depression at 39 was the worst that it had ever been. And I actually stopped drinking alcohol for 9 months. And I didn't have any plan of never drinking alcohol again. And I didn't even have a plan that it would be 9 months. But I decided quite quickly that alcohol was not a good feature in my life.
Yeah.
And it definitely impacted, you know, I always remember, like, on a Sunday, I used to have that horrible anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah. Horrific. And some of it was because, you know what, I wasn't happy in my corporate career. It was very stressful. I wasn't looking after myself. At that point, I felt very, very lonely in life, even though I had lots of friends. And I was really using food and alcohol as something to kind of hide the void or to cover the void. And I went 9 months at 39 without any alcohol at all. And now I can absolutely take it or leave it. I went to a festival last year for 3 days on my own, my first solo festival.
On your own?
I did.
Which one did you go to?
I went to Camp Wildfire.
Oh, what's that? I need to go to that. That sounds fun.
Incredible. So it's, how do they advertise it? They were on Dragon's Den a few years ago to try and get some backing. They didn't get the backing, but they don't need it. It's their 10th year this year. Incredible. Feel free to send me a free ticket, Camp Wildfire.
And me.
For the advertising. So it was like a goal last year, you know, and you're inside my program. You see what I talk about, and that is about empowerment. And it doesn't matter whether you're married, single, widowed, divorced, whatever. It's about, you know what, doing things that we can do on our own, that we don't have to wait for our friends or wait for the perfect partner to come along or anything like that. And I went to Camp Wildfire, and I was quite nervous, you know, going to a 3-day festival on my own and camping there, solo camping. But it's this incredible festival. So they have music, but they also have over 200 activities.
Oh, wow.
So everything from aerial yoga to archery to Japanese pottery making.
Wow.
They then have lots of quiet spaces so that you can kind of chill out. They have a spa area. They have all these different things. And I thought, if I'm going to go to a festival on my own, somewhere that I can just rock up and do activities.
Yeah, perfect.
Kind of works for me. So it was absolutely incredible. And I didn't go, a bit like you said with like the Isle of Wight, I didn't go with the intention of, I'm not going to drink alcohol for 3 days. I went with the intention of, let's go to this festival, let's embrace it, let's step out of my comfort zone, do things that feel a bit uncomfortable. And do you know what? I just had no desire to drink.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
And did you make friends there?
Loads.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made friends. In fact, I've actually applied. I don't know if it's been accepted. I've applied to go back as a volunteer this year because
Ooh,
I kind of
amazing.
think that I've got a lot to give now as
You
somebody
do.
who has experienced it.
You should be speaking there. That's what we should really be doing.
Right, okay.
So Wildfire Festival.
We need to get that email done tonight.
Absolutely. Why are you not doing that? Like, you are an amazing speaker.
Oh,
like,
bless you.
But we are running out of time. And like, I'm very conscious that I could talk to you forever. And this could be like a day-long podcast. And I feel like maybe we should do that at some point. Just like a podcast marathon. Like, it would be amazing. But I know that my audience have a very short attention span. So we're going to have to wrap it up. But before we finish, I would like to talk about your book. Because it is here.
It is.
It's very good. I'm going to get a signed copy very shortly.
Thank you for bringing it.
We love it. Talk about it. Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, to sit here as Naomi, the author, is something I never ever dreamt of.
Yeah.
Had a tough time at school, literally left without qualification. So the fact that I've actually written a book, I think, is something that I will be proud of until the day I die.
Oh, I feel you.
And honestly, it's the book that I wish I had 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago. It's a transformative guide. It is all about ditching the diets, embracing your worth, redefining happiness, because I always thought that happiness was when I weighed a certain amount on the scales or when I wore a certain dress size. And something that I help women to do now is like fall in love with the body that they have.
Yes.
Whilst creating the body that they want. And that isn't about the six pack. It's not about the thigh gap. It's about embracing what you have already, but helping you to achieve where you really want to get to. And I mean, this book now is, I've seen it's been purchased in Canada, in the Netherlands, in Australia, in America, which is already absolutely fabulous. But the messages I have received from complete strangers and women of kind of my sort of age, so sort of 45, 50, who have bought it and then given it to their mum or their daughters to read. Because as well, this is so generational. The diet culture that our mums probably went through has now been passed on to us. And if we have children, the likelihood is it's also passed on to them.
Yes.
So this book, it means absolutely everything to me. And like I said, the feedback from it is that it's had life-changing impact, not just from a weight point of view, but actually from a body image, a body acceptance, a belief system.
Yes.
And that's more than I could have ever hoped for.
The feeling, like, and I totally relate to you when a stranger tells you that you've changed their life. It's just like, oh my God. And I honestly, when I wrote my book, I didn't think anyone was going to buy it. And I actually thought, like, this was kind of I need to get this book out of my head so that I can write the next book. This one wasn't supposed to be as good as it is. Like, that sounds really weird. Because it actually is. There is so much information, so much jam-packed. And what I didn't realise was that my publisher had used me as a bit of a guinea pig to try out all of the accessibility features that they are going to be rolling out.
Amazing.
So my book is the first accessible Wiley book. So like, I'm actually going to go down in history for that, which is really fucking cool. But also it is the reason why the audiobook's not out yet, and it is going to happen. I think possibly in this very studio.
Ooh.
Yeah, very exciting. But it is that feeling of knowing that you have impacted some people, and it's just lush. By the way, if anyone's listening who hasn't left me an Amazon review, please do that, because it's like getting fucking blood out of a stone. I know. It's like I have so many
You feel like you need to give a prize away for it.
In fact, maybe I should. Maybe we should do a competition. For anybody who leaves me an Amazon review, I will give you some blood or something. Yeah, we'll think of a thing. But it is hard, but it is a brilliant book. Like, I've read it. I think it's fabulous. I'm going to get it signed. Really excited. Before we wrap up, where can people find you?
Well, just about everywhere on social media. So Naomi Holbrook Coach on Instagram, Naomi Holbrook on Facebook. I am on TikTok.
Woohoo! And actually not doing too badly.
Ooh, yes, needs to be a little bit more consistent.
I know someone who can help with that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Weirdly. I mean, in my membership, you're in my membership, aren't you? Like, are you in my membership? You haven't joined yet. You haven't joined yet, have you?
I will be today.
Like, if there wasn't a big thing under the table, I'd kick you, but I can't. So, and also I'm wearing flip-flops and I've already lost a few toenails, so I'm not going to do that. But do you know what it is? If it's the consistency you need the help with, my membership is all about the consistency.
There we go.
There is a post every day that you can post your TikToks on or your Instagrams. It's not just about TikTok, it's about any social media platform. We've got LinkedIners in there, all sorts. You post your thing. Not only do I share it, I keep you accountable. I also review it. So I give you tips on how to improve your social media channels. Fuck yeah. Hopefully visible to influential. You can find it in my stand store. Go and check it out. But it is like, and it's also a really nice community of people who are all neurodivergent or suspect that they might be, or are allies of neurodivergence. It's all about supporting people who have got different brains. So yes, people need to go and follow you because you are one of the most inspiring people that I've ever had on this podcast. I am super grateful to you for actually having the time to come in and do this in person and be my first ever in-person guest. If anybody else is listening and they'd like to apply to being one of my in-person guests, we're going to be doing at least like probably 2 or 3 in-persons a month. So it's very exciting. This podcast is going to grow. By the way, if you've enjoyed it today, hit that follow button. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout on LinkedIn, Facebook, Mad About Money, official on TikTok, Maddie Talks Money on Instagram, and of course the podcast. Subscribe, give it a review, tell people you like it so that I can make more of them. That's the plan. But it's been so good to have you. Make sure you download the Mad About app, again in my stand store. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.